Hi, Emma.
Hi. Hi, Celine. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a good weather on my side. So
Uh-huh.
I'm more happy. And you?
Great. I'm doing well. Very calm after dinner.
Oh, okay. So you just dinner.
Yeah, I just
All
did.
right. I will put a reminder. Usually we are between like 10 and without AI, we are between 10 and 20. Um, tuk, tuk. Let's wait a bit, probably 5 minutes. Um, and yeah, um, alors, I will put a reminder now.
Okay.
So today,
How's everyone doing it in a 1 week stretch? Are they finding it easier than a 1 month stretch?
yeah, yeah, definitively. Like uh, some already completed the first section. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
yet follow up on the second section and third one. Um, and I think around 15 people are actually doing Cyfrin. So
Cool.
that's pretty nice. Yeah. Um, took, uh, up, tac, took Telegram. And, yeah, yes, yeah. What is your next event?
Next, I'm so mad that I couldn't go to Prague, so probably Cairns.
Ah, Cannes. Nice.
Yeah.
Um,
But visa is already so hard to get from India, so doubtful.
yes, I can understand. Right. Um, a pop-up city will happen just before Cannes. Uh,
Hmm.
Cannes.
Hmm.
That's called Audit City. Is more for AI, AI
Mm,
industry. I know Sarah will be there. Um,
I see.
so with is global, you can be approved in a click.
Oh,
Yes, you just have to go to the pack, um, Pioneer pack, something like this.
you can share me the link.
Yeah. Um, global pack. It's to guarantee access to can. Yes, here. Wait, stack. You can take a look.
Oh, Pioneer. Yeah.
Ah, yes, because I said pioneer.
Sorry, no, I didn't catch it.
I'm horrible. All right. Yeah, it's Friday too. So hey,
Yeah.
Nidhi was a part of the base fellowship.
I see.
So yes, in India she's participating to this one, and they have like a one. Hi, Nidhi. Probably you
Hello.
can share your experience that better than me.
How is the fellowship, Nidhi? Is it still
Ah,
ongoing?
we can't enter we can't hear you.
No, you muted yourself.
Oh, very great mistake I've done. So yeah, it was really nice. I met like all new people, and yeah, built a project,
Uh-huh.
and yeah,
The
nice.
goal was to like submit the projects for base India.
Yeah,
Right. It's
and the main goal was not that. The main goal was like building, experiencing, networking. That was the main goal. experiencing the, mountains and things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Mm, let me check. Um, boom. I will send a message individually. Tac. I'm coming. All right. Ashley, you remember Ashley was at
In
the
the
first,
previous one too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and she made really cool progress.
Oh, how
Yeah,
far are you actually now?
actually, like for during this week, she asked some question and also help a lot Raquel into session when something was like not wrong, but just a little big. So that's
Oh, okay.
nice. Yes.
Nice. That's good progress. You can be a mentor in the next one.
Yes. All right. What's your next event, Ashley? I don't know if she can talk. Oh yeah. Uh, oh, I said, what's your next event, crypto event? Because you were at DevCon last year. I remember. Oh, all right. People are coming.
Yeah, I hope to be at Dev Connect, but we will see.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like the gathering of everyone at the end of the year, Norris. You will be there.
Yeah, and I also have never been to Buenos Aires, and I'm very curious.
It's a nice place to be. Just a bit expensive because of the crisis. Um, so for example, one day the meat is like a price, but another day it's like probably like 30% more or things like this. So it's complicated.
Yeah,
You want to organize events in advance. You have to take care of this difference. Yeah, it's complicated.
yeah, is it because of the high inflation?
Yeah, like Turkey.
Uh, in Turkey, we have the same, so I think I won't have problem about that.
Yeah, we remember that. All right, let's start.
Okay, great.
Nice.
Let me share my screen.
Sure. Oh, could you present yourself?
Yes. Okay. Uh, I hope we have gone over. Yes, great. I hope we have gone over the basics and built a little bit. And today so let's have a quite a recap. We had a funny contract where anybody should be able to send an amount to that person. Some person will be the owner of the contract. For example, you can think of this person as a creator. So this creator has a website that is the fund me. Users can come and fund this person. So a minimum of 5 USD is expected. Anything less would feel a little bit, it's not worth the gas fee. So you're having a restriction of you have to send me a minimum of $5 and maximum there's no limit at all. And you have to there's no direct way to calculate that whether they are sending you $5 or not. So we had a price converter that actually gets the price that they send. The amount that they send is sent in ETH. So you compare whether the value they sent in ETH is equal to $5 or greater than $5. You check that with the help of the library you created. And then it just keeps getting added to an array and it's stored in the contract. So let's say this creator comes and at some point they want to withdraw from the contract. They just go ahead and call this function called withdraw so that they can get it in their own wallet. That's the whole idea of the project.
Just
So since we have
before, could you say some words about you?
Oh, me. I'm sorry. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Hema Karthik. I'm actually a smart contract developer. I'm a contract developer, so I work for multiple projects and assist in smart contract architecture and development.
And she won a whole hackathon too.
Yeah, I love hacking, so I just attend as much hackathons as possible. That's how I actually got so much experience in this. Okay, getting back. So, yes. So, this is where I presume we have stopped. What we did here is we had a withdraw contract where the owner should be able to withdraw. For this, we first, that's a pattern we follow. Before you withdraw from a contract, you first set all of those values to zero so that a person is not able to withdraw the same amount again and again. This is actually slightly on a security perspective that we do this to clear out all of the data that is in the array. So after this, what you have to do is the actual function of the contract, that is withdraw this amount from the contract to that creator. So transferring this actually, transferring any amount of ETH actually can be done in 3 ways. Let's go over to the slides. So there are 3 ways: that's transfer, send, and call. So you can use each of these different types of calls, but what doesn't change is the function should be always payable. Payable actually denotes that this function is accepting ETH. So you said that context. And then the address that is receiving this ETH should also be payable. This there's not much difference between a normal address and a payable address. It is the same address in the sense of what your address is. You just wrap it around the payable. We'll go over the code example so that you can better understand it. So since we had 3, let's go over transfer first. When you this is a very simple example of how you send ether to another person with transfer. What you do is you have a function, and inside that you just set up who you're sending the amount to. And here if you look at this here, um, okay, so you set the function to payable and you have an address, you also set that to payable. In a lot of cases, if you know for sure that some external address you're going to transfer that amount, you can also declare this as a state variable. But if you haven't done that and you only notice at this point, or you there's only a case only for this function, then at that time you can just add this payable keyword to it. So you just wrap that address into a payable format. That's it. So address, payable, and this is whoever is receiving it. This is the actual transfer that takes place. Let's go over the syntax. What you do is there is the recipient to whom it is sent. So you put that dot So the to is actually coming from the argument. This is the person you want to send the ether to. So you have the to, that's the recipient. And transfer, this is the keyword that we use. That's what we are doing, right? So that's the keyword. And then the amount that you want to send. You must have already understood from previous sessions that the message dot value is the actual value of ETH that is being requested, or the actual value that you want to transfer. So you specify that as directly as the amount or as message dot value. One thing you have to notice, for a transfer function, there is a gas limit of 2300, and by default this transfer throws an error if the amount is not transferred. So you don't typically you would only use this if you know for sure that the person you're transferring to is an EOA. That is, it is not a contract. It is an actual address owned by someone. That is an externally owned address. That's the transfer function. This is typically not used in production. We'll go. We'll go over what are the scenarios in which we'll use transfer later.
You have some question on the chat from Asli.
Payable is used for functions that receive money and transfer money. Yes. Not generally money. If you're using an ERC20 token for transfer, then you wouldn't need to mention it as payable. But when you're using ETH, that's the native token of Ethereum, right? So in that cases, you have to use payable. All right. Okay. And then we have send ether with send. Earlier, if you actually saw the previous slide, we don't have any error statements. That's because this transfer directly, like automatically returns an error if the transaction didn't go through. But when you use send, you have to actually keep track of whether the transaction failed or not. First, let's look at the syntax that we do. The same thing goes, like you have the payable address and the function is also payable. Now, let's come back to this. First, what we do is the variable to whoever you're sending the recipient is mentioned dot send message dot value, same as the previous one. But you're keeping track of, you're introducing a new variable to keep track of whether that transaction went through or not. And on the next step, you only have to manually check it whether the transaction went or not. That's how the syntax is. You have to keep track of it. Again, for sending ether with the send type of transfer, there is a gas limit of 2300. And if you have some kind of calculations that goes on within this transaction, that it's going to revert. That's why we keep track of this with the required statement. But not all transactions can be accommodated within this 2300 value, gas value. That's why we also use something called call. This is actually not a direct, how do I say, it's actually a low level call. We'll go deep into it, this in Foundry 101. But this call, you have to, the syntax is not like your regular syntax. It is a low level syntax in the sense that usually what call is used for is when you call some other functions in a contract or something, you use call. Let's forget about this. How would a normal call be like? If you can think, then it will be call dot whichever function you want to call, you will just put it inside this, and that actually is a call itself, the name call, but also it calls a particular function from a different contract. In our case, we are using that same syntax to actually transfer the ether itself. So let's go over and look at the syntax. So to is whoever you're sending the money to, that's the recipient. .call is actually the keyword. Now, you see value is message.value. This is left empty because we are not calling any particular function. We are just sending an amount of ether. But this is the value that we are introducing. Let's look at Remix to see where we would usually see this. So let's just compile and deploy. Oh, okay. So here you see value, right? This is the value in here. When you simply click on something, for example, fund, the value is set to 0. So 0 means there is no value sent. In that case, you wouldn't need this at all. But in our case, we are actually sending some amount.
You have a question.
Yes. What is the expression address? Oh.
It was at the beginning.
Oh, okay. I thought it was covered. It's nothing. What you do is when you okay, let me explain this code of what has happened. Here, you have a mapping of all the funders who have sent you. For example, if Solin has sent me, then the contract is actually keeping track of Solin's address. And if you had sent it, it also keeps track of your address. So this is maintained in an array, and it also has an associated mapping, that is who sent which amount. That is what we are clearing here. So new is not just used for creation of new contracts. It is also used to clear an array itself. So when funders equal to new address of 0, this means you're taking the address array of, you're taking the funders array and clearing it out and setting it to 0. So the default value is always 0. So after this step, what happens is you won't have a mapping of, oh, Solin sent this, Hema sent this. It is all cleared. Now, why do we do this? When you withdraw, it's actually a step to avoid having multiple saving it multiple times. For example, if you do, let's look at what if you don't do this, what will happen. The array remains the same, so you will withdraw and go. But the next time, again, if you call this withdraw function, what's happening in here, if you see, all of the you're looping through every address that is in the funders array, and you are adding it up and withdrawing that whole amount. In here, you're actually first that would be the scenario when, if you don't set it to 0, but you want to set it to 0 because you don't want to keep track of those mappings again and again. It's like a design choice, you can say. You can skip it, but I would keep it. That's it. It's not something very much mandatory. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right, in here. Okay. So we have the call, and you actually have the value that you're sending. In this case, we are just putting it as message.value. And you're also keeping track of whether this transaction went through or not. You're setting up, this is actually, as I already told you, call is actually a low level function. This function accepts the function that you want to call, and it also returns something. For example, do we have any return statements here? Okay, we don't. But usually when there is a function, sometimes they return some value, okay? For example, let's say return the amount or something. So when this is returned, it's you. When a call function happens, it calls the fun function. Whatever happens and whatever is in this return is actually sent back as a argument in here. Where is it? Here. So that's why we have bytes memory data. So there can be multiple return values that comes out of calling a function. So this data is actually an array, and it's a byte array, and it is stored in memory. But you can since it's just transfer of value, we don't need to have it. There's nothing to return at this point. So you can actually remove it and leave a blank space. Removing does not mean if you just remove the comma comma and the space, you'll actually get an error. You need to have it. It just means that, yeah, I know that there's a return value, I just don't care about it. That's all. And then again, there's a require statement that actually checks if the transfer went through or not. These are the three ways in which we send. How have we done for our contract? Okay, so usually it is a much safer call. The low level call is actually a much safer way to handle any transfer of functions. We sometimes call it pull request rather. Let me explain what is a pull and a push. Pull is when you are the owner of this, and you go and withdraw the amount that you want. That is, the owner comes and calls this withdraw to get their balance to their own address. But there's also another method of doing it, which is called as push. Usually, push is not widely used because of security constraints, that it consumes a lot of gas and could lead to DOS. So push is, let's say you are the owner of this contract, and by default, the contract will transfer to you directly. For example, in case of this transfer, what does it do? It payable of message.sender is whoever is calling this contract, and it just transfers to that person. So you can also modify this to be directly sent to the owner, but the point is, push is when the contract directly sends you the transfer. You don't need to go and call a specific function or do anything. For example, earlier, when airdrops were starting out, you wouldn't have to go and click on claim to actually claim your airdrop. It would automatically
I think they
be
don't know
airdropped
what
to your.
this. They don't know what is an airdrop, I guess.
Oh, okay. AdDrop is when any project could actually have a token generation event, and they would have some tokens. So whoever participated in this community in their protocol, the protocol would actually incentivize them and send them some of the tokens when they actually launch. So that is called an airdrop. During the earlier version, during the initial years, the users would just try out the protocol, and the protocol would actually recognize and airdrop them directly to their wallet. They wouldn't have to go claim their airdrop. But now, since that actually leads to a lot of security issues, now you have to go and maybe check if you have an airdrop, and you have to click claim, and it would be it's a pull. That is, the recipient is actually pulling that from the contract. It is not pushed. That is, the The protocol is not directly pushing it to you, to your wallet. So that's the difference. So in case of pull, you always prefer call, and even in that call, I would say usually it's much better to have something called a reentrancy modifier. So you will learn it in the next section, but a quick recap is when a transaction goes through, until it is fully complete, nobody can come in and interrupt that transaction. That's a very oversimplified way of saying it, but just remember to use call in most cases. That would be best for a lot of security reasons. And this is just a summary of when to use what. You can take it as a guideline and do not like blindly go for these. Whenever you have a contract or when you design something, choose according to your use cases. This is supposed to provide you with a guideline, but not a very hard coded way to go about it. Next is the modifier. Okay, so how if let's go over and write the syntax here so that we can better understand it. So what happens here, we have bool, that is actually our keyword. We should always have bool, and call success, they are just assigning bool, a variable name to bool. That's it. It's a variable. We just store whether that transaction was successful or not. And comma, we are just ignoring all of the return values that would come from this, because we are just sending ether. We don't want any return values, or we just don't care. And then whoever is the recipient. So here you see message.sender. Message.sender is whoever is calling this particular function is the message.sender. They are the immediate next person before this interaction. That's how I would define it. So message.sender, and this message.sender should also be wrapped as a payable. Let's say it was not message.sender. Let's say it was I don't know, maybe it was owner, and we already had owner variable, and the owner was, if you don't want, if you actually don't want to do this, you can actually store this message dot sender as an owner, and that owner also as a payable. It would be something like, oh, here we have address public owner, right? So you would have address public payable owner. That's it. You would just wrap it in the state variable itself so that you don't have to deal with it later. But since we didn't do it there, here we wrap it up as message.sender.call. That again is the keyword. You can't change it. Then you assign the value. This is again the keyword. And what does this mean? Address of this dot balance. So address of, okay, first let's come from here. Dot balance is straightforward. It's the balance of something, right? So it's a predefined one. But this is actually a sub syntax. So dot balance before this, to whoever you want to see balance, or to whichever contract you want to see balance, you would just put that contract address dot balance. But we don't know the contract address. Assuming we don't know the contract address of this, to simplify, we just put address of this dot balance. So address of this contract, because this contract is what has all of the amount that was sent to this creator. So address of this dot balance, and we're not calling any particular function. We just leave it as empty.
Question.
Is the empty string part of the function name? Can you please mention which function name? I'm not quite sure I got the question. In call. Oh, this one. No. It is not a function name. We just say that there is no function name. We are not calling any function. We are just sending value. So we just ignore that part and leave it empty. That's it. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right. So, and then you have another statement of require where you actually check if the call actually went through or not. We already know this. Now over to the next part, modifiers. So here all we are just, if you actually look at this, there is no permission of who can actually withdraw. But how do you want, let's say Solin actually funds this contract as well, and she also wants to withdraw, but I'm the creator, then that would be a problem, right? If I'm the creator and Solin is sending to me, I want to be able to withdraw it. Since I am the creator and the funds are all getting accumulated in this contract, so only I should be able to withdraw. So essentially, if you think of this, it is like someone is actually like the owner of this contract, and only this owner should have certain permissions. In that case, what you do is you can actually have it as require some statement checking, hey, if someone is calling this withdraw function, it's not open to all, so I only want to restrict it to whoever is the owner. So what you do is you include a statement, require message.sender, that is whoever is calling the contract, equal to. So single equal to is just setting, that is you assign owner to a particular variable, but we don't want that. So we have double equal to, which is you're checking if this is equal to this. So you actually check if message.sender equal to owner. You already have this I owner variable in here. Okay, so I think we should go with constructor first and then come here. Okay, guys, let's first go with constructor. So we need an owner. Ideally, the person who is actually deploying this contract is going to be the owner. That's an assumption. If I'm creating an app and I want to withdraw money from it, I put my name as I'm the owner. What in all different programming languages we have constructors. In all OOPs it's exactly the same. That is, a constructor is also a function, but unlike other functions, you don't have function and a function name or nothing like that. You just put it as a function, you just put it as constructor, and there is no name for it. Whenever a contract is deployed, the constructor is the first function that would be called, and also when the contract is deployed, immediately on the same transaction itself, the construct whatever code is within the constructor will get executed. Okay, so how can we use this to our best way that we want? If I'm going to be the owner of the contract, then when deploying itself, I can just assign that I am the owner of this contract, right? That's a very straightforward use case. Let's think about what happens if that there is no owner of this contract, and let's say this statement is not there at all, and there is some other function, let's say function assign owner. Let's just imagine this function is there and anybody is able to call this. If this statement is not there and I deploy this contract, then somebody who is who actually wants to take over this contract, before I call this function, after deploying this contract, before I call, hey, assign me the ownership for this contract. Before I assign it for myself, somebody could pay, example, very high gas, overtake me, and come and call this function. So if they do, then the ownership would go to them, right? You don't want that to happen. So this is what happens when you separate it between two transactions. So ideally, any access control is usually assigned within the constructor itself because it is going through in the same transaction that the contract is being deployed. So we have this. What happens? So look here, it's a single equal to. That means this is a constructor. Who is calling the constructor? I'm calling the constructor. So message.sender is anyone that is calling the constructor. That person is assigned to a variable. So we have a variable in here, address public I owner. So to this person, you don't give any explicit permission at this point. You're just saying, hey, whoever is calling that contract, save their address and assign it to I owner. Now, how can we use this in our withdraw function? We saw that you're checking if I'm the owner, I should be able to withdraw. If anybody else withdraws, it's going to revert. That's what this statement means. But let's say you're using this in, and this statement is being used in any other use case. We also had something, in our example, like function assign owner, right? So if I don't want to be the owner and I want to transfer to Solin after this point, so only I should be able to do it because I'm the current owner. In that case, what do you do? First, you take the statement and you would insert it here because only you should be able to transfer the ownership from you to someone else, right? So you would actually not allow anybody else to call this assign owner, the same statement that you had for withdraw. So essentially what is happening, only one person is here and you're giving certain access control only to that person, and you're also checking that before they do anything. So it's kind of getting repetitive at this point. You're having the same request statement here and another same request statement here as well. You can actually simplify this by something called modifiers. So here we have the code of modifiers. What modifiers does is any statement that is within the modifier usually gets executed first. Let's just remove this for now. In a modifier, you actually can have the same it actually has a very similar syntax to that of a function, that is like modifier, and you give it a name with a parenthesis, and inside that you can have certain statements. In our case, what do? We just take this require statement and we just put it here so that we actually can check their ownership. One of this is enough. Let's just forget about this. You just check if message.sender is equal to owner. Okay, that's the only thing that is here. And then you take this modifier name and use it to any function that you want this execution to take place. So we just remove this.
You just have a question.
Okay.
Modifier just reduce.
Yes, it does reduce the redundancy. That's the primary goal. You can actually cleverly use this to have certain restrictions of who can own certain powers as well. That's one of the primary use cases, but it was primarily brought in to reduce redundancy. Okay. Where did we leave? Okay, we have owner. Okay, so you specify this modifier name in whichever function you want to use. So earlier we had assign owner. So same thing would be here. You just take this modifier and put it right next to it. That's it. So when this function executes, it would start line by line. When it sees this modifier, what it does is it will go to where this only owner code is. So it will come here and it will see, hey, first step is it will see where this underscore semicolon is. If it is here, what it would do is first it will check this, it will first execute this statement and then it would go continue with whatever is within the function. If, let's say, this was here, what would happen? The same thing, the function would be there. When it comes to this line, it would go to this part of the code, see that there is an underscore. But hey, you don't have to do anything right now. So, because this underscore is at the top and there are no statements preceding to it. So, it will just hold off in here, go ahead, execute whatever is within this, and after that, it will come back to the modifier and it will execute everything that is below this underscore. So essentially, the way you use underscore will actually determine at what point you are executing whatever is inside the modifier. So if you have this require statement here, below the underscore, after going through the whole process, it will come back and execute it. But if this underscore was here, when it comes to this point, it will go see whatever code is there. It will first execute this code, and only if that passes, it will go on and execute the remaining code. Hope that was clear.
Question.
Okay. Is the required statements place matter? Because if it fails, state changes reverts. Yes, it matters. Usually, when you have any kind of checks that you have, when you use required statement, most commonly it is used for checks, right? Before executing any function is when you actually want to check. You don't want to have those checks at the end. You can, if the if it is going to revert, it would revert at the end. But what's the most efficient way? When you have request statements, checking it at the beginning, you don't execute the remaining at all. So you're actually saving a lot of energy. That's it. Okay. And okay, this is the syntax of modifiers. You have the modifier name and any statement that you want. It's not a rule that you should only have require statements or any checks within it. You can have any type of code within this modifier and that will get executed. Don't restrict yourself to only require or if or custom errors or anything. You can have normal statement executions as well. It's a design decision that you take. If you want to have, if you have certain parts of code that is redundant, then put it under a modifier. If you want it to go through, if you want a function execution to go through only if it meets a certain condition, then it's best to have required statements or if custom errors within modifiers. Okay, so modifiers also can take arguments within it. And are modifiers necessary? Yeah, so they're not necessary, but they do improve. You can actually still work having this require statement here and the same statement within another functions as well. It's just easier this way to not write repeated code. And we saw the constructor, and constructor is easy. Let's go over and see how we can run this. Okay, I made a lot of changes. Okay. Okay, so a few things before you start with your testnet deployment. First is get your accounts with MetaMask or any other wallet service providers. Then go and get some ETH for yourself. Since our contract is entirely dependent on ETH, you don't need any other tokens, just ETH. Since it's a folia, so there are different test nets that are released based on different versions. So Ethereum Cephalonia is a very standard one and is well maintained. We are using that testnet. You can use any faucet. eGlobal, if you are a eGlobal hacker, you can go to eglobal.com/faucet. If you don't have an account, I highly recommend creating one. It's a great platform for hackathons. So if you have an account there, you'll be able to claim 1 ETH per day, etc. So you will have ETH. So you have an account, you have plenty of ETH in it, and you open your code in Remix and always check the environment. Here you see if you're just executing your code within a virtual environment, you just choose Ethereum, Remix VM Prague or Cancan or anything. But if you want to use a certain testnet with a certain address, that is your address with your testnet, then you have to use this inject provider and choose. Here I only have MetaMask. If you have any other wallets, it will show that name. You just click on this, and also if you while doing this, if you don't see a deploy button that turns orange and it is grayed out something like this, then always check your extensions. If you have more than a few wallets enabled and they are also active, sometimes Remix might throw an error or might get confused of which wallet you're trying to use. So it's like an case, edge case. If you do face that, check your extensions, disable the rest of them except MetaMask, and you'll be good to go.
Just about the faucet link that is related to ETHGlobal, you can get access to it if you don't participate to ETHGlobal hackathon before. So when you will do it, when you will participate to it, you will get access to it.
Yes,
A great
she's
plan.
right. Okay, let me share the link. You will get now too, but you won't get 1 ETH. As you progress and hack more, your limits will increase. For now, you'll get minimum droppings. Okay, so all of this is set. Now go ahead and deploy your. Okay, first we have to compile. We already did. Now we come here, we check everything, and here, yeah, check if you're choosing the right account. So here we have F0F something. Let me check again. 0F. Okay. Deploy. You just confirm, the permissions. Okay, it got deployed. And that's it. We actually did it. Now, so I want to fund it. Let me check what's the minimum. Okay, so you see, I just clicked on minimum, but no MetaMask popped up. That's because these are all read functions That is, they don't require any gas to just see certain values from the contract. If you come here, what is the minimum USD here? We have minimum USD as a state variable. So for all state variables, by default, there are getters created. Here we have owner and we have minimum USD. So for just reading certain values which are in the state, you do not need to pay any gas. You can just read it. So it's 5. It's probably have, I don't know, 7 or 8. Oh, okay, let's go with 5 itself. And you just enter the value. Okay, we are going to fund this contract. It's a payable function. So always you have to enter what value you are sending into the contract. So here I put as 50000, which should be equal to or greater than, no, reward estimated gas invocation, no. I did have plenty of gas.
Yesterday we got some issue like this.
Oh, not sure why this is happening. How did you resolve yesterday?
I think yesterday it was related to just injected chloride or something like this. Like, did you cancel a transaction or anything like this where the transaction can be stuck and then you can proceed to any other one?
Okay, maybe our
Can reload,
contract.
like Raquel reload a lot.
Okay,
Remix.
okay. Sorry.
You can reload a remix.
Oh, okay, okay.
Raquel did that yesterday. Like completely reload. I don't know how we
Yeah, I just did. It's
reload.
okay. Meanwhile, we had our contract deployed, and this is our contract. Usually, now you see a byte code, but when you use any other frameworks other than Remix, you would actually be able to verify your contracts. That is, when you put your contract in here, you can so you see verify and publish here, right? So you will be able to see your contract code itself in here. We'll go over that in our foundry session, but just remember that to save your contracts. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she put something like with the exponential. Check the chat.
Okay. Oh, like that. Okay, we are gonna have to deploy it again. Compile. Check provider. Okay.
Yes. creation of fund pending, because if you can close Remix and open a new window.
Okay, actually, transaction went through.
Okay,
Shall
okay,
we
nice,
check?
nice then.
Okay. So you want me to enter as value in Ether?
Yesterday it was in way.
Nah, I think we have to enter value as such only. Okay, it's okay. I think I have enough ETH.
Wow.
How much do I have? Oh, I have plenty. It's okay. Let's go with one Ether. I'm very generous. Click on fund, and yes, transaction is going through. This is going to take a little while. Usually, testnet transactions are quite slow. It takes 2 to 3 minutes on average. But on mainnet, you would not face that. The transactions are near instant. Okay, here our transaction did go through. So let's check who are the funders. Okay, so I sent the transaction and I'm checking who is the funder. Why am I putting zero? Because here, where is our array? Okay, here. Funders array is where all everyone's address whoever sent is being stored, and since it's an array the index starts with 0, so the first person who sends will be on the 0th storage slot, and the next person the second person who sends will be in the first storage slot, and the third will be in the second, and so on. That's why it's 0 and not 1 that it begins with. So this is me, and we'll also check to my address how much was sent. So we see 1 ether was sent. Okay, since I use the same contract, I'm also the owner at this point, which is not very typical way to do it, but let's go and try withdrawing. Okay.
Do you have any question?
Yeah, any questions? Great. And it went through. Oh, not this contract. Always store your contracts. Sometimes when you deploy, if you just close the terminal, or in this case, if you close Remix and you reset, next time you come, if you reset your Remix by mistake, then you're not going to get this address. So whenever you deploy, immediately copy and save it somewhere safe. So you can go to cefolia.etherscan. Just don't forget and go to the regular Etherscan. This is cefolia.etherscan. This is only for testnet. If you go to the norm, if you just search for Etherscan in general on Google and go from there, then you're going to go to the mainnet one. We are on testnet here. So if you see, first we tried to fund it and it went through with 1 ETH, and we also withdrew the amount, and the amount, okay, amount is 0 ETH. That is, no, maybe I'll check the balance. From, oh, this was a transaction. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, I was able to withdraw. That is not right. Why is it showing? Block number all is okay. Um, okay, there might have been some mistake in the code. What did we do? We did fund it and we did withdraw. What was the. Okay, we sent one e. Let's call it again and see. It has gone. So I think it's because, okay, one E did go, but when I withdraw, there was already some little bit, it was a little bit less than one ETH that I withdrew because this transaction fees gets subtracted from the amount, right? And this transaction fee also gets subtracted from the amount. So any decimal point value that starts with 0 is shown as 0. That's why our code is correct. No worries. So that was it. How did you find it? Maybe use a conversion state. Oh, yeah, I will use it from now on. So she's talking. And please don't get so carried away by the 0 ETH. It is because it is in decimal. You paid transaction fee, so you don't get exactly the 1 ETH back, because from the contract the transaction fee gets subtracted, so you will get something like 0.99999. Since since the Etherscan doesn't support decimal, it shows as 0, but in your actual address you would have the same ETH. Okay, that's it for today's session. And on next session, let's continue with errors and fallback functions.
All right. Thanks for that. Being clear. And yeah, I think you reply to our question well. So thanks for everything. And let's catch up tomorrow. So just about what do you have to do for tomorrow? So basically, let me come back to the notion. So complete lesson 20 from section 3. So it was for today. And for tomorrow is complete. Complete everything. Complete
Yeah, it would actually be so much easier if you actually completed that part earlier and you just come here and it's a recap and you know,
Yeah.
get your doubts resolved.
I think it's the best way to learn is like to start with Cyfrin the courses, and then after that get a recap, an entire recap with the session, and where you can ask your question if you have anything that you need to go more deeper in. And yeah, thanks again, and let's say see you tomorrow.
Yeah. See you all.
All
Study
right.
well. Bye
Just
bye.